Hi everyone. So I wanted to do a quick little video on how to do your um, rock typing lab. So, or rock classifying lab. So I wanted to go through it very quickly and let you know how to do it. So, um, as we're going, I'm going to kind of go back and forth between the lab document, so the one you will be completing, which is this one, and also the lab itself. Okay, so we can go and discover exactly what it is we need to do. Okay, so first thing I always tell everybody when doing a lab that you need to read the instructions. Okay, so what we're doing is we're trying to classify igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary rocks. And how we're going to do that is we're going to be using the materials of the rock to determine the actual type of rock. So, first off, we're going to decide whether it's igneous, metamorphic, or sedimentary. Second off, we're going to take specific characteristics of each one of those rocks and determine the actual name of a rock. So, whether it's granite or limestone or sandstone or clay. So we're going to go through and actually be able to do that. Okay. So you're going to want to go through based on the procedure. You're going to want to watch the presentation about igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary rocks. The other thing you're probably going to want to do is also go in and watch this video and finish the guided notes about those different types of rocks. This will really, really help you and give you some really great information. Um, so when you go into the lab, it says watch the video. So there's the video. It will load. You can watch the whole thing. Also, here's information about those types of rocks. So that objectives are classifying rocks according to their origins and identifying different types of rocks. Okay. Also has the procedure right there. So you have it all in the same spot. And then it's going to tell you when you go in to specifically test igneous rocks or metamorphic rocks or sedimentary rocks, how you're going to do that when you go into the next room. Down below, there's some journal questions, a calculator, table or graph. You're not going to use any of these, okay? Because I've already made you a table. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to the lab real quick and we're going to go through. It's going to tell you exactly what to do all the way through. And then it has some information about the end. At the end of the lab, you are going to go to Go Formative and you're going to answer the questions there, which we will go to. So we're going to work on number one. So here's your sample numbers based on the lab itself. And we're going to go sample by sample and we're going to answer certain questions. So if we go in and of course now it doesn't want to split my screen, so I'm sorry. I will move this over here. So we are going to go in and we're going to answer specific questions. So first question we need to answer is sample one. So what we're going to do is we're going to take sample one, which based on the box is right there, and we're going to grab it and we're going to put it over here on the scale. And we can see this rock, kinda. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the magnifying glass and we can go over and look at the rock itself. First thing we're going to say, is it glassy in appearance or not? Okay, so I've already written down, no, it's not glassy in appearance. It's kind of rough and rocky. Okay, look at it again. Are there holes? No, doesn't really look like there's holes there. So again, I wrote down no. Describe the color. I don't exactly quite sure why I put reddish brown, but it really is much more black almost. And are there any crystals? No, there's no crystals. So you either type in large, small, or none. So I put in none. And then based on that information, you're going to be able to determine whether it is an igneous, metamorphic, or sedimentary rock. And you're going to fill that in. So once we figure that out, based on the information that we've learned previously, we're going to be able to click on a different lab, okay, based on what it is. So this is an igneous rock. Worst case scenario, you're not quite sure, click on a lab door and whichever one lets you in will let you in. So this is an igneous rock, which you can also use the PowerPoint that I gave you that will give you different information about igneous. And I'm going to click on the lab door. Okay, so it let me in the lab. Now I'm going to go down to the second chart that I gave you on your lab sheet. Okay, igneous rocks right here. And now we've got something else to fill in. So sample number one, because that's what we're working with. I already have it filled in as basalt. You can go in and look at it again with the magnifying glass. You can go in the black or in the back, and you can use these to figure out what type of rock it is. Okay, so it's going to talk about the color. So is it light, intermediate, or dark? So we can go down here. There's this reference chart, and we're in igneous rocks. And the only thing that's left is color. Okay, so is the color light? Is it dark? Or is it intermediate? So I would say that it is very dark. I can look at it right there. Okay, so I can close that one. The texture. Okay, so we can also tell by the type of crystals. So we know that there's no crystals. Okay, so we can go in here and we can cross some of these out. So if I was on here and I wanted to cross things out, I could go through and I could go, okay, it's not glassy. So no, not glassy. Glassy, no. Glassy, no. Okay, so we're down to two. Okay, does it have holes? No. Okay, got that. This one's dark, this one's light. So it's not light, it's dark. Are there crystals? No, there's no crystals. I guess it says there's some small ones, but we can't see them, so that's okay. It's all kind of relative. So, what you see and what you can't see sometimes, you know, keeps you from being able to figure it out. But we know just by this that it's dark and the other information. So we know it's basalt. So we can go back up to the chart and we can fill in basalt. Now, there are some more things that you need to do on the other um, labs or other types of rocks. So we can get out of this one. We're going to go back to the lab and we're going to pick a different kind of rock. So we are going to pick limestone. Okay, so let's pick limestone. Now you're getting a free answer. So number 5. Okay. Oh, and on your rocks, you want to check what type of rock. So we know, put the rock on there. You can go down, check. Is it basalt? Yay, it is basalt. It tells you, congratulations, you've got it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Put the rock in, makes it stop talking. Okay. So now we're going to go to this rock and we're going to look at it and we're going to go back to chart number 1. So we're working on number 5. Oops, I need to take it off of that. So we're going to go back and we're on chart number 5. Okay, we're going to go back and look at the rock. Does it look glassy? I'm going to say no. Doesn't look like there's holes. Okay, so not glassy, no holes. And then we need to describe the color. I would say it's kind of gray and brown. Okay, so some gray, brown, black. It's just kind of a dirt color. Um, do we see crystals? I think the little white things could be some crystals. Maybe. Okay. You can put small with a question mark. Okay. So based on this information, if I was to go back to the labs, I would know that this rock is formation. We know that this rock is metamorphic. Okay, so I'm going to go into the lab. Yay, I have a metamorphic rock. So best way to check it is by going into the lab. Now that I've gone into the lab, I'm going to go down to the second chart. I'm in metamorphic rocks. I can put sample number 5. And now we're going to go through and look at the different things. So we're going to look at banding. Okay, so here's information on banding. Are when metamorphic rocks are formed beneath the Earth's surface, subject to great pressure from overlying rock layers or increases in heat. So it literally just pushes it all together. Sometimes the pressure will flatten and align the mineral grains with rocks into parallel bands. So here's one with banding, here's one without banding. Over to my chart, I'm going to put in, we're working on sample 5, banding. Yes. Okay. Next thing, recrystallization. So mineral grains are flattened and aligned. They also exchange ions with surrounding materials, forming newer, bigger crystals. The process of mineral grains changing composition or growing larger is called recrystallization. The recrystallization occurs as minerals are realigned in metamorphic rocks composed of only one mineral. However, recrystallization is the only process observed. Okay, so I can go back and look at my rock. Do I see crystals? Now, some of those little spots could be crystals. I'm not quite sure. So, does it always have to be yes or no? I could put maybe. I'm not quite sure. Okay, something I can go back to. And hardness of metamorphic rocks. So, hardness is something that we use to determine whether it's quartzite or marble. There's only one mineral. So, some rocks will scratch glass, some rocks will not scratch glass, depending on their type of makeup. So, one way of checking hardness is literally to scratch it across the glass. Okay, so I'm going to take it. Here's my piece of glass. I went across the glass. I can go across several times. Is there a scratch? Did it make a noise saying, "Ee"? No, it did not. So it did not scratch the glass. Okay. And then we need to go with the general appearance of it. And this one's a little bit harder. Okay. Does it have bands? Yes, it's banded. Is it a mass of crystals? No, it's not a mass of crystals. Is it flat and smooth? I wouldn't call that smooth. Okay. Or is it just flat? I'm not quite sure. I would go in between bands and flat. Okay, it's a puzzle. So bands or flat. So not quite sure. Okay, so now I can take this information once again, make it a little bit bigger, take this information and I can use it against my chart. So I'm just going to take a picture of my chart. Look at what I use all the time, like I said I do. And I'm going to take this chart and I'm just going to put it over here, maybe, because it's not, well, okay, we'll just leave this up. Hey, Like I said, sometimes you got to be creative. So we're going to go here and we're going to try to figure out what rock it is. Again, it is a guessing game. So nice thing is our wonderful snip and sketch I can draw on. So recrystallization. We weren't quite sure, so we're going to leave that for the next one. Scratch the glass. Yes or no? No, it did not scratch the glass. So can't be this one because that one's scratched. This one was no. This one was no. This one was no. And this one was no. Okay, so we got rid of one. Hey, that's a accomplishment. Okay, so banding. We absolutely know yes for banding. Okay, so we go down, find banding. No, gone. Banding yes. Banding yes. Banding no. Okay, so we got rid of two more. Okay. Now we can go to general appearance. Okay, we said it had bands or flat. Okay, because these are either or. Okay, this one says flat and smooth. Ooh, I don't really think ours was smooth. And this one says platy. Now, platy means flat. I don't know why they just don't put flat, but it means the same thing. So we know it wasn't smooth, so we got rid of that one. So there, we just found out what our rock was. It's a mica schist. Okay, so I can go in here. I'm going to type this out. Okay, so I think number 5 is a mica schist. So now I'm going to go back to the lab. I'm going to go out of the lab, go back to the main. I'm going to choose mica schist. Yay! Yes, it is right. Okay, so it tells you it's right. Now, some of you guys are thinking, hey, why wouldn't I just go through and check those? Guess what? You don't get the points unless this is all filled out. So you have to finish this to be able to get the points on the quiz. Okay, so it has to be finished. So sedimentary rocks is the exact same thing. You're going to go in and fill those out. You're just going to go through and check the samples. Okay. After you're done filling out the charts, you're done, you're going to have to go to Go Formative and you're going to put your results in there to be graded. So I'm just going to pull up the actual, just like a document. So you got 5 questions. So they're based on 5 samples at a time. So sample 1, you're going to go ahead and you're going to slide in whichever one it should be. Okay. So you're just going to slide them in based on the names of the samples. Okay. So all the sample names are there. It's only the first 5, 6 through 10, 11 through 15. And then you've got your final answer. When you find a rock on your own, what steps will you take to identify it? Please do not just say pick it up and look at it. You need to list the different things you are going to look for. So it's worth 5 points. I would say you list at least 5 different things. Okay. So that is how you do the lab. Remember, if you have any questions, come to a help session Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 a.m. We are here to help. Bye, guys.